Welcome back to the Primal Reset podcast, joined today by Antoinette Nesbitt. She is the founder of Antoinette Aesthetics. She's an acne expert and an industry leader. Antoinette, it's a pleasure to have you. Welcome to the show.
Hi, Eliot. Thank you for having me.
It's a pleasure to have you. So share your story with us. Share how you got to be in the aesthetic industry and kind of what brought you there and how you've succeeded so far.
Yeah, well, I think I've always had a passion for helping people. I think growing up, I wasn't quite sure where that was going to take me. I grew up doing musical theater, and I feel like that kind of started my love for like helping others and making other people feel something. But I knew that that wasn't exactly what I wanted long term. Like I didn't want to move to a big city. Like I wanted to have roots. So I think when I got introduced to the aesthetics industry or just like the beauty industry in general, I kind of was able to like pick the pieces of it that I wanted to take with me and kind of make that into something more tangible. So now I didn't think that I would ever start my own business. Like that wasn't really something I ever thought was possible. That happened later. But I definitely think that my passion for people and helping people is kind of what brought me into the industry.
Yeah, I mean, I say this in almost every podcast that I do, but speaking with everyone within the wellness industry, and whether it's aesthetics or whether it's, nutrition or fitness or whatnot, it's all kind of their journey is I want to help people, and sometimes they go through it themselves, depending on what it may be.
For sure.
And their goal is always I want to create a service or a product that can help others, and it never really turns into, oh well, I want to start a business and then formulate around that. It's more just starting that service, helping out people, and going in that direction. You've been in business for quite some time now. Tell me a little bit about how you started your journey into going into business and building a clientele.
Yeah. So I moved from Florida to Ohio, where my husband is from. And I had like a full clientele in Florida. Like I already had kind of started my career there before we moved. So moving somewhere where I didn't have any clients was definitely really scary. So not only did I have to think about working for someone to just like create my clientele, working for someone, then within 7 months of working for someone, I was like, I can't do this anymore. Like I have to be in business for myself. I have so many ideas. There's so many things that I feel like I can't do. So I just worked my booty off to build as much clientele as I could just to pay the bills and keep the lights on, and then was able to rent a space and kind of get that going. But I think that feeling of survival is kind of what forced me to do that. Like I knew that I wasn't going to be able to find success with what I was doing working for somebody else. So I had no other option. There was no other choice but to do that. And I worked, started my own spot, and I rented somewhere for like probably maybe a year before I was looking into having a storefront, because my business was growing quick enough to withstand that. So I've been in my storefront now for a year, and I'm already kind of thinking what's next.
It's funny you say that with starting a business and especially moving from Florida.
Yeah.
Which is a different climate for your clients as well, to Ohio. Kind of having that no plan B, this has to work. So how can I get this to work is really the question we should all be asking ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes working for other people is the avenue that we take, and sometimes it's not. And in your case, it wasn't. And I mean, you've had 450 plus clients. You've helped a lot of people throughout the way. I mean, you're still growing, and you're growing quicker than I think you even imagine.
Yeah.
And kind of finding that next step is definitely crucial. And we'll get back to that kind of a bit later as well. But what I wanted to ask you was, how do you stay away? I mean, there's so much on social media right now, and how do you stay ahead of all of the trends for the aesthetic industry that we see?
Yeah. I wholeheartedly believe like knowledge is power, and the more education you can have, and it's part of the reason why I love the industry so much, is because it's ever changing. Like I know that my job's going to look different in a year dependent on whatever's going on in the industry, and that's like the excitement about it. I think it's like trusting your instincts, trusting your gut. And if you're educating yourself on whatever is up and coming and you're looking at the science of whatever that may be, like, then you know if that's something worth taking the risk for or not. Because there's so many things that come and go so fast that you're like, thank goodness I didn't hop on that train, because it might have looked cool because they're, making it look so glamorous on social media, but you're like, okay, like that was just a fad. And trusting your peers, like, that's the beautiful thing about social media, is I feel like we're all kind of looking at what each other are doing and seeing what's working, what's not working. And obviously in the bigger cities, like, they might be incorporating things that I may not be seeing as, firsthand, because the bigger cities are having those more, pivotal treatments that are coming out. But I just try to trust my gut and educate myself on whatever that may be. And if it's worth it to me, then after that, then I'll, look into bringing it into practice.
That's good. That's good. That's a definitely hopping on every trend is definitely not something that I would recommend to anyone. Like as you said, I mean, I think of trends nowadays more of like TikTok songs
Yeah.
where they're popular for about a week to 2 weeks, and then you basically never hear of them again.
Yeah.
So for a sustainable business practice, it's just not going to work. So kind of having that base and that structure that you've built to rely on and then add on to it is definitely, in my opinion, the best approach that you can have. To that point, what is your base? What's your structure that you always resort back to? Are you more on the natural side of healthcare or skincare, or are you more on the cosmetic side with a couple more additives essentially to make that appearance look better? What's your approach?
Yeah, I definitely think I'm a mixture of both, because I trust the science of whatever I'm doing, whether that's like a chemical peel, whether it's any form of treatment in the skin, or whatever I'm providing for home care for a client. Nothing changes if nothing changes. And if there aren't active ingredients in those products, or whatever the delivery systems are in those products, like, that is what elicits change. I think the word natural means a lot of different things to a lot of different people. And personally, I don't believe that my skincare products need to be natural to whatever that person may mean. Like, of course, I don't want my products to be toxic. I don't want my products to, disrupt DNA in my client's skin cells or anything like that. But I think that there's a nice balance between the two. And you see brands that kind of pull entirely to this natural, like organic, like plant-based. And I mean, I've seen clients all the time that are coming in with that, and they have more skin problems than, someone who may be just using something from the drugstore. So I just think everybody's skin's a little bit different and everybody's preferences are a little bit different. But I think because I'm a results-driven esthetician, and like me and my clients are having a goal, like, I truthfully don't see that in just entirely natural products, but there's a place for that in clients' routine too.
Absolutely. It's definitely different for everyone. And to that point, being a results driven and sitting down with your clients and finding out what their goals are and striving with them to achieve their goals, it sounds like it's very personalized.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the approach that I think a lot of people should take. And tell me a little bit more about what your personalization looks like. Everyone's skin is different. Are there clients that you take more into the, natural holistic side of skincare? And are there some that react a bit better to, the ones with a bit more additives and have a quicker result?
Yeah, so I've based all of my clients are based around trust and friendship. And like, I treat my clients like family, but also it's like listening to your client. And I have my clients fill out like intake forms. So I kind of get to know them, get to know maybe what they're currently using, like whatever their goals are. Or if it's someone that's like never dabbled into the skincare routine, like, or into having a skincare routine, like, I'm not going to throw a bajillion products at them and think that they're going to have success that way, because they're not even washing their face currently. So like, we got to have baby steps there. And I think having that and listening to clients creates that personalized treatment plan for that particular client, not just their skin goals, but like their lifestyle. Everybody's different. I have clients that come in and they want they want all the products. They want the 10-step routine in the morning and at night, and they want to come in every 4 weeks. But I have clients that just want more maintenance, and they, want to just prevent a little bit of aging or whatever. But I think that if you think of every client just in like a B, C, D, like here's their skin type, like here are their concern, and you just make it super structured like that, you're not going to have retention in your clients because everybody's just not so regimented. Like you have to have that blend of, or some trial and error. There's trial and error in everything that we do. So knowing that that's a possibility.
Absolutely. And I love that you said baby steps. I always say that.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever your journey is and wherever you are in your journey, just taking that first step to, for myself, I don't wash my face at all. I have water, so I'm one of the worst people to kind of speak about this
Yeah.
topic. Yeah, I'm purely water based. When I shower, that's my washing my face. So if I were to start a skincare routine, and whether it's a 10 step or whatnot, kind of the start for me would be taking that baby step and finding
Yeah.
out what product does well, use that for a week or so. And then if it reacts well to my skin, start taking your advice and speaking with you about what my next step could be.
Right. And I think like everything in the wellness industry, I think even on the other side of things, like not in the skincare world, like of course that's where my like focus is, but so much of our skin, I mean, our skin's an excretory organ, so anything that's happening inside will be showing on the outside. And that can be extremely overwhelming to clients when I start talking about things that we can do internally to help with our skin. And I always tell clients, like, just do 1% better. Like, you don't have to change every single thing in your home and make sure it's all non-toxic and all, it can be super overwhelming into that side of things. But I think if you can just do 1% better, think of one thing that you can do differently. If it's, hey, I'm really bad at washing my face twice a day. Okay, then why don't we just try to get you washing your face once a day and hang on to that for a little bit. And once you find, that you're creating that habit, then we can try twice a day. Like you don't have to be perfect right away.
Absolutely. You don't have to jump in the deep end. And I think that's kind of what we've been taught a lot.
Yeah.
When you need to
All or
change,
nothing. Yeah.
I'm comparing myself to someone, or I have to go all or nothing. And it's really, you need to do better than yourself yesterday. So
Mm-hmm.
if yesterday I washed my face one time, I'm going to try to wash it twice today.
Mm-hmm.
And like you mentioned, if I'm able to build that habit over time, then I can always go to the next step. I love that you actually mentioned the internal side of things as well, because that, in my opinion, is very important. Our skin kind of being the biggest organ in our body as well. What would you say if you were to give, a generalized first step that someone could take to making their skin look better and feeling better? What would that step be?
If we're talking internally, their inflammation is the root cause of a lot of disease, but a lot of skin concerns as well. If we're looking at acne, that is caused by some sort of inflammation. Now, there's many different ways we can kind of figure out what that root cause is, but lowering the inflammation in our body will help with basically all skin concerns. So I always tell clients, make sure that we're drinking enough water. I mean, that is kind of, everybody mentions that at least at some point when we're talking about wellness. I recommend any of my clients to make sure that they have enough omegas in their diet, whether that's supplemented or in what they're eating. Vitamin D also is a big one too, that I make sure most people are low in vitamin D, and taking some kind of a anti-inflammatory supplement. Like I personally take curcumin, but everybody's a little bit different there, to help with however much inflammation's in our body, doing those things internally. But as far as externally, what I want for clients is to wash your face, to hydrate any kind of moisture, and SPF every single day of your life. If you're worried about aging concerns or you're just worried about skin cancer in general, you need to be wearing SPF every day.
Awesome. Awesome. And what if we could find a certain product that you use or a product you recommend, what would be the first SPF or moisturizer that we would use for the first step?
My favorite SPF brand is Color Science, especially for ladies, because it's all mineral based. It's like a physical SPF line, and they have colored cosmetics as well. So what I find a lot of the time, since my clientele's predominantly women, is we don't want to wear SPF because it's not in our makeup, or we want to wear makeup and we don't want to smell like coconuts during the day. So I feel like color science has kind of cracked that code of being able to wear SPF daily without, all of the negative connotations that come with that. But they do have non-tinted SPFs that are great for, like Kyle swears by the no-show SPF. He loves it. He wears it every day. It took us years to get there, but like finally he's wearing it. But that would, I say, would be my personal favorite.
Okay, awesome. Awesome. Yeah, it's definitely harder to get us men to
Mm-hmm.
use some of the skincare products our wives have for us.
Mm-hmm.
It takes us a while to get that implemented in our routines.
For sure.
To the point that you mentioned earlier on education with your clients, is this an continuing education? If they have questions, can they always reach out to you, or is it just kind of a one and done? Walk me through that step.
Yeah. Well, when I have a new client come in, I have them fill out their forms so that before they come in, so then we sit down, we kind of talk about what their skin goals are, figure out what we're doing in the treatment room, what we're going to be using at home. But I'm an open book. My clients can ask me anything. Especially with my acne clients, I do something called Acne Boot Camp, which is a bi-weekly treatment where they come in every 2 weeks, and where they have a regimen that they're doing morning and night. And every 2 weeks we do check-ins, whether that's virtually or in person, to make sure that whatever they're doing is working. It's something that the industry has finally recognized as important, that we're not just doing it. When they're first coming to see us, we tell them all this information. They spend all this money and then they leave, and then in 2 weeks they kind of forgot what I said, and then they just go back to whatever they were using before, or
Yeah,
say it
they're
doesn't
going to
work.
Dr. Google.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I make sure that my clients know that if something isn't working, or if they're not loving what they're seeing, like, they need to reach out to me, and then I'll always make sure that we're on the right track, because it does take time to see results. So we have to kind of monitor whatever they're using.
Awesome. Awesome. Yeah, it's I love that you have that continuing education. You have that, every 2 weeks for especially acne clients, and especially the younger generation going through the
Mm-hmm.
hormone changes and
Mm-hmm.
whatnot, and even the older generation too. Also, I mean, hormones is one of the
Yeah,
biggest things that we're seeing more information about now, and that our skin just reflects what's going on
for
inside.
sure.
So
I have
to
acne
have that is
clients. I have acne clients that are 13, and I have acne clients that are 40. You see a wide range of whatever's going on internally, and there's different reasons why each of those clients are breaking out, or whatever's happening internally. So I do sometimes feel like I have to be like a detective and really look into the internal things, or ask the questions that may not really seem like they're pertinent, but they are, because there's many layers to it.
absolutely, you can't give generic information to everyone. If there's a 13-year-old dealing with acne and there's a 40-year-old dealing with acne,
Right.
it might not be the same acne. It's giving the same advice is not going to end up working out for both of them.
Right.
And the question that I had regarding business wise, your uniqueness to your client experience, what's your approach to that?
I think I kind of touched on this before, but being relatable and being like comfortable and blending that professionalism with friendship is something that I think sets me apart. My business has been predominantly built on word of mouth. I've spent zero money in advertising. I've never had to kind of look to other forms of marketing in order to build my client base. And I think that has allowed my clients to trust me so much that they know that, like, they're in good hands, and then they'll go and tell their friends the same thing. And it is nothing to do with being big in the community. Like I mentioned, I haven't lived here for very long. So it's not like I had this standing relationship in the community. And I think that has made sure that my business was built on the right kind of clientele, and not just taking whoever I could take, even if they might not be the right clientele for us to kind of have that friendship and like longevity in a client.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I always tell everyone, if you're getting referred, that means you're doing a good job, right?
Mm-hmm.
And not only you're doing a good job, but that client is experiencing a phenomenal experience and wanting to go back for more and share that with their friends as well. And it definitely speaks volumes to what you're doing. I mean, mentioning not doing any marketing or anything in that aspect, what do you think if you were to give a tip to someone starting in this industry, what would be, a quick first step for someone, a quick advice from you starting in the industry to build a clientele?
Yeah. I'll say one thing that I didn't do was focus on social media. And I think that I would have just educated and pushed a little bit harder at that if I could go back. Seeing how much social media has influenced the wellness industry, and not even just clients, but like seeing your peers or seeing other people in the industry and kind of being able to establish those friendships and connections is something that I wish I would have known was as important, because now I have this wonderful client base, but I don't feel like I have as many people in the community to be able to banter with or ask questions. Or, I mean, I do, but I kind of wish that I would have had a broader audience for that. But also, I think treating your clients like gold, even if you have one client a week, treat that client like gold, because they will do the work for you. I don't think I knew that that's what I was doing when I first started. I think I was just excited to be working, and I just was just excited about it all. So that kind of showed through. But I think that's what was able to allow me to not have to worry about that as much. Don't get me wrong, I definitely had months of feeling like, oh my goodness, like I'm not doing as well as I thought I was going to be, or not having that imposter syndrome, and trusting in yourself and trusting that what you're doing is right, and just keep going even if it's not exactly where you want to be. I think that repetitiveness of just keep pushing forward and not giving up, no matter what you do, you'll find some success there.
Absolutely. Definitely the biggest things for new business owners is consistency.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I know you've learned that as well, as much as I have with my business. Just being consistent every single day. There will be those ups and downs, and it probably goes through our head a bit more than working for someone else,
Oh yeah,
just because we have
that's tough.
everything to deal
Yes.
with. But having that consistency, and definitely, I agree with the social media. It's a platform now in today's society that if you can do social media very well, you can get a lot of outreach. I mean, you build
Mm-hmm.
that community around yourself and around your service, it explodes a lot quicker,
Right.
for sure.
And not having that perfectionism to it too. I think that's where I held myself back a lot with social media. It was like I didn't have like the perfect thing to post, I just wouldn't post. But that doesn't matter. Like you gotta just keep going, the same way that I was in the treatment room. If I would have, I think, done that more on social media, like I could have been growing that as much as I was growing in the treatment room. But not being so hard on yourself to have that perfectionism will definitely benefit you in the long run.
Absolutely. There's a quote or a story that I've heard from actually Alex Hermosi, who's a big entrepreneur himself. And he tells a story about a pottery class. So there was a teacher, and I'll kind of paraphrase this one, but there was a teacher who ran two pottery classes. And he told the first class, by the end of the month, your objective is to make the best, like one of the absolute best, vases, right? And that was their objective. Not to make any, simply to research, find out, and make just one perfect. And the other class that he had was your objective is to make as many vases as possible by the end of the month. Don't care about anything else, simply just make them. And what they found by the end of it was the the pottery class that only made one compared to the one that made a lot in just sheer volume. Not only did the class with sheer volume have better vases made, but they had significantly more, where the one that only focused on the perfection and trying to make one as perfect as possible, it wasn't as good, it wasn't as nice. And it's the repetition is really what makes everything. So
For
for
sure.
people starting out there, new businesses, and they want to get into the social media side of things, just posting every single day. Your post will get better. You'll learn the algorithm.
Yeah.
You'll learn the content. You'll learn
Mm-hmm.
everything along the way as long as you post. If
Yeah.
you don't post, you're never going to figure it out.
No.
So I love that you mentioned the perfectionism of some things as well. And kind of last question before we hop off, but looking ahead, what's the biggest opportunity you see, and whether it's 2025 or 2026, within the aesthetic industry?
I think the biggest opportunity is the fact that I think for the first time ever, um, the community is looking towards holistic approaches to skincare, or looking, maybe not running to the dermatologist as their first option or like their only option. I think skincare, and I've said this, I feel like skincare is healthcare. There's a lot of things that once you get into skincare and you start paying attention to that, it'll lead you to other aspects of holistic healthcare or different things with different functional medicine or whatever that may be. And I think because people are looking into that more, that you'll see people who are looking into the aesthetics industry and the more holistic side flourish and have more opportunity to. I mean, I'm even seeing estheticians getting into like nutrition and different things like that to help their clients with their skin. There's much broader audiences you can reach that way because it's all interconnected, and we're not just looked at as like hippies who just whatever the stereotype may be into someone who's looking for more like holistic alternatives. I mean, we see it at the grocery stores now. I mean, there's so much more people are noticing and caring about than, our parents' generation did.
I agree with that. It's kind of seeing I ate that when I was a kid,
Mm-hmm.
so you can eat it as well. And seeing all of and noticing actually, and just getting the education nowadays on what was in some of these products and what is in some of these products
Mm-hmm.
is an entirely different spectrum. So it might be the same brand, it might be the same product, but it's not the same ingredients.
No.
I agree with you for sure. I think the holistic side of things is definitely starting to grow a bit more. And I think the main reason is more of the preventative side of healthcare, kind of
Yep.
like you said, and yourself, you do it perfectly, walking through your clients, what they use, what their goals are, how can we help you achieve those goals? And we can start with the skincare, but we can also educate you on the internal side of
Yeah.
this will help prevent instead of waiting for the sick care, I like to call it. I'm going to go to
Mm-hmm.
the dermatologist after I see a mole or a big,
Yeah.
blotch on my skin and hope it's not skincare.
Mm-hmm. Well, I also think in general, medicine's been looked at to treat symptoms and not treat whatever is actually happening as like the root cause of whatever that concern is. We're noticing that more and more in our traditional medicine, and same thing in dermatology. I mean, I'd probably say like 70% of my acne clients have already been to the dermatologist and it's not worked. And they've tried everything, every prescription, everything under the sun. And if anything, it's worse than it was before because they're just looking at the symptoms of whatever is they're seeing on their skin. They're not asking the questions and figuring those things out. And the more that they're seeing that different approach is working, the more they're going to look for that in other avenues of their life too.
Absolutely, absolutely. And to be one of your clients or to find out a bit more information about yourself and your services, where can everyone go find you?
Yeah, so I am predominantly on Instagram at Antoinette.Aesthetics. You can message me on there. There's links to my online store and my booking site that you can kind of take a peek at and read about my services and what I offer. And that will be the best way to reach out.
Perfect, perfect. And I'll have all of those links in the description below. If anyone is looking for in the Ohio area and looking for a phenomenal skincare expert, go see Antoinette. She does a great job. Her skin looks way better than mine. Don't listen to me for the advice or take my service on skincare. But Antoinette, it was a pleasure having you on the show. Hopefully we get to do it again soon, and we'll talk soon.
Yeah, thanks so much, Eliot.